Good morning, everybody. Can you hear me clearly? Good morning.
Yes, sir.
Morning, clearly.
It's a beautiful day, and I know we're gonna have a spirited interaction this morning. Welcome to the quarterfinal rounds of the 2022 National Tourism Debate Competition. I am your moderator for this morning, Brian Brown. It's a pleasure to be back here after the media launch a few months back. And we're at match number 3 of the quarterfinal rounds of this debate competition. And I'd like to welcome this morning our competitors. Wolmers girls will challenge York Castle High. But before we get started, allow me to heartily thank our sponsors who we are forever grateful to. The Tourism Enhancement Fund, Deja All-Inclusive Resort, the Jamaica Hotel and Tourism Association, the JHTA, Royalton Luxury Resort, Chukka Caribbean, Pier 1 Bar and Restaurant, Coral Cliff Gaming and Entertainment, Margaritaville Caribbean Group, Origin Juices, and Starbucks Jamaica. The National Tourism Debate Competition is endorsed by the Montego Bay Chamber of Commerce and Industry and the JHTA. Our adjudicators this morning are Mr. Dominic Shaw, a director of the Montego Bay Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Ms. Tamika Bryce, attorney at law, and Mrs. Nadine Spence, regional chapter chairperson of the JHTA. Our move this morning: this House would implement a tax break on energy bills only for hoteliers who are properly registered and operating within the tourism sector. Proposing the moot is Wolmers Girls, and opposing the moot is York Castle High. Our speakers for Wolmers High School for Girls are in this order: Rihanna McDuffus, Janoy Samuels, and Aaliyah Thompson. For York Castle, our speakers are Christian Hamilton, second speaker Akelia Dixon, and the third speaker will also be Akelia Dixon. Okay, the first speaker is allowed 7 minutes, second speaker 5 minutes, and third speaker 3 minutes, followed by a rebuttal, which will begin with the opposing team. The match will begin with our proposing team, Wolmers Girls. So without further ado, we will now proceed with our third match of the quarterfinal round of the 2022 National Tourism Debate Competition. You may proceed, Wolmers.
Are you hearing me?
Loud and clear. Loud and clear, proceed. Are you hearing me?
Yeah, I'm hearing you now.
You may go ahead.
High utility costs have forced some small hoteliers to reduce the number of rooms they offer and close some of their vital facilities. Mr. Speaker, my esteemed colleagues, members of the wanting opposition, ladies and gentlemen, a pleasant good morning. My prior statement was the unnerving headline of a 2019 Jamaica Cleaner article, which provides grounds for the proposition's support of the moot. The House would and should, and by the end of this debate, they will implement a tax break on energy bills only for hoteliers who are properly registered and operating in the tourism sector. Before I dismantle the crumbling foundation of the opposition, allow me to elucidate the roles of my comrades. As the first orator, I will address the need for energy tax breaks amongst hoteliers operating within the Jamaican tourism sector, while my successor will elaborate on what accounts for a registered hotelier and enumerate the ill effects of what would be the idle distribution of energy tax breaks to other entities in the sector. After which, my concluding speaker will summarize all points presented and advocate the positive effects of an energy tax break. It is also incumbent on me to define some key phrases. Firstly, the term tax break which as defined by the Cambridge Dictionary is a tax deduction, credit, exemption, or exclusion that helps individuals and businesses save money on their tax bills. Secondly, the term energy bill, defined as a document showing how much money one owes for electricity, gas, and other natural resources that can be used as energy. Then, the word hotelier, said to be a person who runs or owns a hotel, which, according to the Merriam-Webster Dictionary, is an establishment that provides lodging and usually meals, entertainment, and various personal services for the public. Now, we can all testify that the energy cost in Jamaica is extremely high. Reason being, there is one supplier of electricity, the Jamaica Public Service Company, and we have to import all of our oil. It should be no surprise that the hospitality industry in Jamaica accounts for some of the largest consumption of electricity and water due to the sheer size of their operations. But don't take my words for gospel. According to the Capstone Turbine Corporation, the world's leading clean technology manufacturer of energy systems, hotels account for some $4 billion in energy use in Jamaica. If the hoteling industry has contributed such a huge chunk to the public sector revenue over the years, are they not deserving of some form of financial latitude to ease their expenses? And yes, government has granted some concessions through the hotel incentive, which provides a 10-year relief from income tax, GCT, and import duty. Nevertheless, our hoteliers are still inundated by inordinate costs, the bulk of which lies within their use of energy. Yet again, my word is not the gospel. John Mark Clayton, head of Department Network Engineering at Connex Services Limited, has found that about 3 to 6% of a hotel's operating cost is allocated to energy consumption on a monthly basis, thus making it the second largest spending category next to labor costs. In Jamaica, however, says Mr. Clayton, this cost could be up 10 to 15%, especially because it is a hot country where ACs have to work harder to cool each room. End quote. With these large energy-related figures, it is no wonder that many hoteliers seek relief from their harsh grip as they grapple with covering these amounts. According to the Jamaica Hotel and Tourist Association, JHTA, approximately 75% of 134 small hoteliers are stifling under the high utility costs imposed on them by JPS and the National Water Commission. The article continues, and I quote, "Many have had to shut down their bars and restaurants or suspend the use of their pools due to multi-million-dollar bills," end quote. Unsympathetic to plight is how the headline describes the apathy of these companies, as has been previously stated, and I will reiterate my opening statement from the Jamaica Gleaner. Costs have forced some small hoteliers to reduce the number of rooms they offer and close some of their vital facilities, end quote. Clearly, the need for an energy tax break is crucial, as its absence is imminently driving one of the most profitable means of tourist attraction to dissolution. Mr. Speaker, it would be remiss of me to ignore the efforts of the Jamaican government in combating this obstacle. According to an article from JIS, the government has been targeting the installation of renewable energy solutions in Jamaica. While this is generally aimed at reducing the carbon footprints of hotels, it also serves as a means of reducing hotel expenditure. However, the implementation of the necessary equipment to aid in this venture has proven to be just as costly, with returns on this investment taking up to 4 years. If we are speaking of a prompt and inexpensive solution to mitigate the grievances of our industrious hoteliers, the answer is simple: an energy tax break. JIS has also stated that following the slow discharge of these renewable energy solutions, a major decision was taken to remove all taxation from solar systems at hotels and to implement low interest rate loan funds for solar investment through the Development Bank of Jamaica. What we are seeing here, ladies and gentlemen, is that the need for an energy-related tax break is indispensable regardless of the ingenious alternatives that may be imposed. In closing, I will reiterate my points. Firstly, the high costs associated with energy used by our industry's greatest contributors warrants them the energy tax break. Secondly, the lack of this exemption will and has imposed a hindrance to full operations. Lastly, The need for an energy tax break will remain relevant despite the aforementioned and other substitutes owing to its practicality and feasibility. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. McDuffus. We'll now move to our second speaker for Wolmers Trust High School for Girls, Janoy Samuels.
No, Brad. That would be the first speaker.
Rihanna was the first speaker.
No, sorry. That would be the first speaker for your castle. Then we move back to Wolmer's Girls.
Got it. Thank you for the correction. Our first speaker for your castle is Christian Hamilton. You may proceed.
Are you hearing me clearly?
Say that again.
Are you hearing me clearly?
Yes, you may proceed.
Good morning, moderator, adjudicators, government, my fellow opposition, and spectators. Despite tax relief, foreign hotels don't have to hire a single Jamaican, the Jamaican Gleaner, March 26, 2013. This house would not implement a tax break on energy bills only for hoteliers who are properly registered and operating within the tourism sector. As the leader of opposition, I will be discussing the excessive tax breaks hoteliers already have, how this negatively impacts our country, and strategies that are already in place to benefit the tourism sector. My second speaker will be discussing the fact that the tourism sector needs no more tax relief, the fact that if this tax break were given, it would not achieve remarkable results, and finally, how this tax break would disadvantage the citizens and residents of Jamaica. And the third speech will sum up our team's case. I quote from the Jamaica Gleaner. Managing and tax partner at consulting firm Ernst & Young Jamaica, Alison Peart, is blasting the government's tax waiver system, saying the criteria for getting incentives in the hotel sector, for example, is only that the foreign businesses are running a hotel. It is absolutely preposterous to believe that hoteliers should get another tax break. The Ministry of Tourism in Jamaica already provides the Hotel Incentive Act, and this act provides a 10-year relief from general consumption tax, or GCT, income tax, and import duty for all new hotels, existing hotels adding at least 10 rooms or doing any form of substantial structural alteration, and even further, approved convention centers can get up to 15 years tax break on income tax and import duty. Properly registered hoteliers operating in the tourism sector already have sufficient tax breaks. Energy bill tax breaks are not a desideratum. Segueing to my next point, these aforementioned tax breaks that are already provided result in the government of Jamaica losing approximately $4 billion in tax waivers on an annual basis. And you are arguing that this house should waive more? That is unequivocally ludicrous. Our economy is currently in shambles. We cannot continue to reject money that is right here in our nation and let it go back overseas to the home countries of these hoteliers in the form of remittances. If hoteliers so desperately need a relief on high energy bills, we suggest that they switch to alternative energy sources. After all, that's the reason the Caribbean Hotel Energy Efficiency Action Program, or CHENAC, was put in place by the Inter-American Development Bank in partnership with the Caribbean Hotel and Tourism Association, the Caribbean Alliance for Sustainable Tourism, the Caribbean Tourism Organization, the United Nations Environmental Program, the European Union Center for Development Enterprise. These organizations, not to mention the government of Jamaica, the government of Barbados, and many other local governments, saw the necessity to create less reliance on energy created by oil and to shift power generation to renewable energy sources. This is also very beneficial for the environment and our planet Earth in sustainable tourism. Over 835,000 tons of carbon dioxide equivalent would be reduced in the Caribbean region if hotels would switch to these alternate sources of energy. Providing a tax break for traditional energy sources would then be counterproductive to the efforts being made to go green and preserve our environment. Multiple hotels have already moved to use these methods to reduce their energy bills and go green. The Grand Palladium Jamaica Resort and Spa, installed solar panels on their roofs, and they save up to $700,000 per annum in energy bills alone. Up to last year, Couples Resorts installed another microturbine to reduce their energy costs and heavy carbon footprint that hotels typically have. With the most popular alternative energy source being solar energy, and the mood here is around tax relief, you'll be glad to hear that there's no taxation of any kind on solar systems. If hoteliers want a tax relief for their energy, there it is. The government of Jamaica, through the Development Bank of Jamaica, also provides low interest loans to set up these solar systems, as well as the Jamaican government providing a way to earn money from having your own solar energy. A mechanism was put in place which allows solar energy producers to sell their excess energy to the national grid. That right there is even another source of income. The fact remains that properly registered hoteliers operating within the tourism sector do not need a tax break on their energy bills. They already receive a tax break on solar systems. Therefore, this House would not implement another tax break on energy bills. I'd like to wrap up and close with this charge from Wickham McNeil, the former Minister of Tourism in Jamaica. And I quote, "As a sector, I am encouraging all our tourism partners to do what you can do incrementally and over time to expand your energy options and increase your use of sustainable energy. I want to encourage our tourism sector partners to seriously explore the use of alternative and sustainable energy sources in our collective efforts towards the future sustainability of the tourism industry." With that, the opposition pauses. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Hamilton. We'll now go to our second speaker for Wolmers High School for Girls, Janoy Samuels. May I sound check, Ms. Samuels? Can you hear me, Ms. Samuels? Good morning.
Good morning. Can you hear me?
I can hear you loud and clear. Are you ready to go?
Yes, I am.
Please proceed.
A hearty good morning to all. This House would implement a tax break on energy bills only for hoteliers who are properly registered and operating within the tourism sector, a message on which we confidently stand. But if that statement is dissociated into its simplest components, then three things must be observed. What qualifications classify a properly registered hotelier? What can happen to the Jamaican economy if every business operating within the tourism sector receives a tax break on energy bills? And what are some of the other tax breaks that could be given to other entities operating within the tourism sector? As reported in 2018 by the Ministry of Tourism, all tourism entities operating in Jamaica, including hotels, resort cottages, and other tourism accommodation entities, are required to be in possession of a Jamaica Tourist Board JTB license as per Section 23A of the Jamaica Tourist Board Act of 1955. From that statement, it can be inferred that if a hotelier possesses a JTB license, as well as all other important documentation, then that tourism entity which they own is adjudged properly registered. To isolate a crucial facet of my aforementioned thesis, the economical dilemma which may befall Jamaica if this tax break on energy bills is effectuated for the entirety of the tourism sector. I would like to ask a question before I begin my next statement. Was the opposition not listening to the points my first speaker has said? It is absurd, as tax breaks are no government incentive that increase government spending power of the consumers and can increase aggregate demand, leading to higher economic growth. Furthermore, it must be understood that a tax break decreases tax revenue for the government and therefore lowers government spending. A collective deduction per month on taxable income relating to energy bills for over 1,000 businesses involved in the tourism sector can add up to multi-millions lost in national income. The impulsive gifting of tax breaks can accumulate over time, leading to a decline in the country's gross domestic product and in extreme cases, leading to a recession. With such risks attached to the awarding of tax breaks on energy bills, support and rewards should only be given to those hoteliers who pump money into the formal circular flow of income, who are affected by the decisions made by the government, and those who do not have to hide to be in operation. Besides, other businesses that operate within the tourism sector are already relishing in other government-provided incentives. According to JAMPRO, restaurants and other recreational centers operating within a specific tourism industry, like the 6 hotspot tourist zones, can expect to indulge in 1. Duty-free importation on any goods imported into the zone, meaning restaurants who buy expensive ingredients from abroad to quench their foreign customers' exotic tastes save thousands of dollars per month for every box they import. 2. A low corporate income tax rate of 12.5% for the recreational centers, serving towards the Jamaican experience, while their counterparts outside the tourist hotspots are dealt a blowing 25% corporate income tax rate, just to discuss a few. Mr. Speaker, I would like to point your attention to the Jamaican proverb, too much rat never dig good oil, meaning a good project can be spoiled if too many individuals are attempting to benefit from the same deal. Since so many incentives are already available to other tourism accommodations, let's leave the tax break on energy bills solely to the registered hoteliers who carry the tourism industry on their backs. But since the opposition believes this is a free-for-all and would like to issue tax breaks on energy bills for one and all, how about a break from the ludicrous and misleading information? I digress.
Thank you, Ms. Samuels. We'll now revert to York Castle High and invite their second speaker, Akelia Dixon, to the podium. Good morning, Ms. Dixon. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Those are a lot of pins.
Okay, ready?
You may proceed.
Okay. Greetings, Mr. Speaker, esteemed judges, opponents, fellow teammates. My team and I are here to reintroduce the rule which my teammates and I strongly oppose, which this House would implement a tax break on energy bills only for hoteliers operating, properly registered and operating within the tourism sector. Now, the second speaker, thank you for pointing out that tax cuts lower revenue that can be used for things such as hospitals and schools. Thank you for proving our point. You went on to say that hoteliers carry the tourism sector on their backs. What a slap in the face to the rest of the tourism sector. What about the accommodation? What about sports? What about adventure? No, the government side would like you to think that the idea of tax breaks are foolproof. But here are some questions that I have yet to hear addressed. How would this affect Jamaican people? Who is monitoring these tax breaks? I have yet to hear a pliable tax break policy. Just rants. My teammate stated that it is unreasonable to think another tax break is remotely viable for hoteliers. It is an outrage at this point. Where do we draw the line? Where do we start calling these incentives that hurt the Jamaican people? Ladies and gentlemen, this is ridiculous. Hotel Incentive Act, Resort Cottage Incentive Act, Attraction Incentive Act. Enough is enough. Madam Chair Lady, I have 3 clear points that will support that there is no need for tax break on eligible bills and 1, no need for more tax breaks. 2, energy bill tax rate will not achieve remarkable results. And 3, tax break will be a disadvantage to the people. My first point, the tourism sector has no need for tax break on energy bills. The Jamaican Service JIS wrote on Tourism Minister Honorable Edmund Bartlett stated during the sitting of the House of Representatives, and I quote, "We ended the year equaling the record-breaking earnings of tourism US $3.64 billion. And in the 2022 to 23 fiscal year, he went on to say that it, and I quote, 2023 to 24 budget presentation is going to show US $4.2 billion earnings, in which the tourism would be, which would be 500 million more than 2019, which is our best year in our history. Opponents, does this look like a sector that is desperate for energy bill tax breaks? We are breaking records. The tax breaks set in place are already doing extremely well. Therefore, there is no need for repeating additional tax breaks. This leads me to my second point. The energy tax rate will not achieve remarkable results. It will not draw the additional hotels register at cost. Since there is already a tax break on solar energy and a break for buying materials necessary to create solar energy, it is unlikely that business will flock to this tax break when they can produce their own energy and sell the excess to the government. If we're speaking about creating profit and revenue, what can be more profitable than this? Hence, the energy bill will not be, it will be a waste, and it will not achieve outstanding results. According to Do Business Jamaica, there are exemptions on import duties and value-added tax consumption, tax on productive inputs. Simply put, for materials imported that are beneficial to the business, materials such as solar energy. My third point, this will be a disadvantage to people of being, this will be a disadvantage instead of being for the people. It will mostly benefit the private sector. The Jamaica Gleaner interviewed Mr. Demetrius, the owner of one of the largest hotel groups. He stated that it is time to put the loopholes, which others call incentives, into check. And I absolutely agree. He went on to say that the ideal scenario is to offer them, but it should never come to the disadvantage of economic progress. There needs to be balance, end quote. And Mr. Speaker, we have balance. We cannot offer a break on everything. Opponents, Jamaica is on a stride for sustainable development, which is building a country for future generations. I implore you, let's issue tax breaks that will actually help our people. There are already 30,000 hotel rooms available here in Jamaica. Let us steer them to green energy. Let us steer them to renewable energy. Let's build a better Jamaica. In closing, I will state my 3 key points. The energy bill tax break will not achieve remarkable results. 2, there is no need for energy bill tax break. And thirdly, tax break would only be of a disadvantage to the people. It is time we create a sustainable home for the people. It is time tax breaks start to be for the people and not just for the private sector. Most of these whom are foreign citizens who will send their earnings back to the country. With this, the opposition wins.
Thank you. Second speaker for York Castle, Acalia Dixon. We will now revert to Wolmers High School for Girls and invite their third speaker to approach the podium, Aaliyah Thompson. Good morning, Ms. Thompson. Ready to go? Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, Ms. Thompson, you will have to begin.
Can you hear me? I can't hear you.
Are you hearing me?
I'm hearing you clear now.
Okay.
Please begin.
A slap in the face. My opponents, it is the mere facts. Hotels generate the most revenue within the tourism sector, $4.5 billion just in the summer of last year. I bid all protocols a pleasant morning. As the closing speaker of this government, I stand before you today to tie up the indisputable facts that my teammates have brought to support the moot. This House would implement a tax break on energy bills only for hoteliers who are properly registered and operating within the tourism sector. My first speaker has dissected and carefully defined the key terms within the moot. She further went on to bring to the forefront of this debate the necessary facts. That is, with registered hoteliers bringing in the most money within the tourism sector, they deserve some form of break, and the most suitable would be a tax break on energy bills. My opponents, is that not fair? Don't you want to see the success of your own country? My second speaker has elaborated on what constitutes an unregistered hotelier and the tremendously negative domino effects of issuing a tax break on energy bills to all members of the tourism sector. She even had the courtesy to highlight other breaks that are more suitable for other entities within the tourism sector. The fact is indisputable that this tax break, tax credit, tax deduction is an undeniable incentive to recompense hoteliers for all the positive externalities they produce while in operation. The break serves as a catalyst for economic growth in the tourism sector by allowing higher private and public sector investments. The tax break on energy bills keeps money, specifically foreign exchange earnings, circulating in the local economy. The tax break on energy bills provides hotels and other tourist accommodations the means to use cleaner, more renewable energy to keep their entity running. This is what my opponents speak of. But in order to implement this, they need the money from the tax break. They are now saving a percentage of their income and have more funds to use on other aspects of their business, which in turn benefits our country's economy. The list of positive effects is endless. However, just as with anything in life, too much of one thing is not good. Therefore, as highlighted by my colleagues, let us leave the tax break on energy bills to the establishments within the tourism sector that need it the most, registered hoteliers.
Thank you, Ms. Thompson, Aaliyah Thompson, third speaker for Wolmers High School for Girls. We now invite our third speaker for York Castle. Hi, was our second speaker, Akelia Dixon, to the podium. Go again.
Are you ready, sir?
Please proceed.
Okay. Tax break? What tax break? What have you come with? Absolutely nothing. Where's the outline? What percentage are we taking from them? What is the break? No, Mr. Speaker, adjudicator, my worthy opponent, the very capable members of my team. The move for this brought to us today is this House will implement tax break on energy bills only for hoteliers properly registered and operating within the tourism sector. My first speaker, my second speaker gave valid, substantial arguments that advocate that such implementation is more harm than good. Such is stating that a lot of tax breaks are already given to hotels and implement another will just be a lot to the government financing. It also desists that hotels from going green and being sustainable to the environment, which seems like a ticket to destruction. If I must add, major hotels, namely the Grand Palladium and the Standard Hotel Mexico Bay, already desist from using energy and have switched to solar panels, so given a tax break on energy bills will be no substantial cost. The second point states that energy bill tax break will not achieve remarkable results. According to an article published on November 22, 2019, headline, Jamaica wants to pay light bills, where the extract states just 7 years ago, Jamaica has an economic basket case. The government was bleeding so much red it couldn't fit in the potholes or keep streetlights on, as it faced staggering $20 billion debt in 2013. What good would that do for the government? After the Hotel Incentive Act, which gives them a 10-year break free from GCT income tax and import duty, not to mention the attraction incentive where importation of specific items free of GCT. And let us be real for one, my highly respected adjudicators, we aren't looking to end back where the similar situations prior to 2013. Thirdly, tax break will be a disadvantage to the Jamaican people. Quoting the Jamaican Gleaner, therefore, the drastic changes in the Waivers and Incentive Act results in the cost of high Jamaican vacation to visitors to high, thus result the downward spiral of desirability for Jamaican vacation. Enough. My opponents, if you are desperately in need for relief of high energy bills, switch to an alternative energy source. That is the reason for the Caribbean Hotel Energy Efficient Action Program. In conclusion, Mr. Speaker, it is evident that such an idea is impulsive. Therefore, it does not sit well with my teammates and I, knowing that the cruelty, the destruction, the unimportance of implementing tax break on energy bills only for hoteliers, my opponents have yet to fail to convince with such flawed arguments. With all said, my teammates and I rest our case.
Thank you very much, Ms. Dixon. We have now heard all three presentations, speakers from both teams, Wolmers High School for Girls and York Castle High. And we will now proceed to the rebuttals.
Yes, they're gonna need a little time to prepare, Brian.
All right. So give them a few minutes, 3 to 5 minutes to do that.
Yes. Let's just remind our audience what our motion is.
Surely. Just to remind you, this is match number 3 of the quarterfinal rounds of the 2022 National Tourism Debate Competition. The schools that are competing today are Wolmers High School for Girls, and who are the proposers and the challengers are York Castle High. The moot today, that this house would implement a tax break on energy bills only for hoteliers who are properly registered and operating within the tourism sector. In a few
Okay,
minutes,
let's give them a few minutes.
we will start the results with York Castle High, who are the opposers, and then the proposing team, Wolmers High School for Girls, will respond.
Yeah, exciting match. We'll be back in about 3 minutes. And Jaden will take us into our break.
meaning of being a hero. Being a hero requires great sacrifice for others, not just ourselves. We learned about the heroes of Jamaica's past and how much of themselves and their lives they had to give in building a nation we should be proud to call home. They believed in a Jamaica that was more than just a country, more than just an island, more than land surrounded by water. They believed in a dream of a free nation of people, a nation built on the foundation of sacrifices, a nation of many.
Seems like we're ready to continue.
Are we ready, Jaden? We have to wait on Jaden to give us the cue.
Hey, yes, we're ready. All right. Well, this has been very exciting so far. I can't wait to hear the rebuttals. We're going to begin our rebuttals with
Are you hearing me?
Yes, I can hear
Sir,
you.
sir, you're staggering a bit because our internet is unstable.
Oh, you can't hear me clearly?
Can you give us a moment for
Okay. All right. You having internet issues or just audio issues?
So we're having some minor internet issues.
Okay. But can you hear me clearly? Oh yeah, I see you going in and out.
We learned the true meaning of being a hero. Being a hero requires great sacrifice for others, for all.
Are we good to go?
Sir, we're ready.
You ready?
Yes. Sir, can you hear me clearly?
You can. Can you hear me clearly?
Repeat that, sir.
Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, sir. We're hearing you now.
All right. Do we still need to wait another 2 minutes?
I think they're both ready.
All right.
So, Jaden, are you ready? Let us begin. Brian, please bring us back into the program.
Sure. So we have heard 3 speakers from The proposing team, Wolmers High School for girls and York Castle High School for girls. And the moot, this house would implement a tax break on energy bills for only for hoteliers who are properly registered and operating within the tourism sector. We are now at the stage we'll be hearing rebuttals, and we'll be hearing that first from the opposing team. And we'll be hearing Christian Hamilton, followed by the rebuttal from Wolmers High School for girls. Can you hear me, Mr. Hamilton?
Yes, I am here. Are you hearing me?
Loud and clear.
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay. So good morning again, moderator, adjudicators, government, and my fellow opposition members. Throughout this debate, we have established repeatedly that an energy bill tax break is unequivocally ludicrous. Your first speaker said that hoteliers are deserving of tax breaks, and maybe we said that hotels are deserving of tax breaks. Maybe we should remove tax completely for anyone deemed deserving and let our nation and economy completely crumble. Being a properly registered hotel requires a large startup capital. Your first speaker mentioned the hotels that had to shut down due to high energy bills. They wouldn't be able to afford the proper registration process to even be able to use this tax break. Your second speaker brought up the income tax rate that these hotels are already free from. How is that relevant? She also mentioned that reduction in revenue for our government. My third speaker spoke on that and pointed out the folly and that money could go elsewhere. Throughout this entire debate, we have yet to hear any form of policy as to how this tax break will be regulated. Where is your model? Where is your policy? If you are advocating for a tax break, you need to come with a policy. How else will we understand what kind of tax break and how the tax will be split and whatever? We have provided concrete arguments to prove the point that tax breaks on energy bills will not benefit our country, its economy, its environment, our country's residents or citizens, nor will it benefit our tourism sector in the long run. Tax breaks for energy bills are not necessary for our tourism sector, as my second speaker would have mentioned that we are already attracting enough hotels and we are already building up revenue. Tax breaks are not necessary for energy bills. We don't need those. We have enough tax breaks. Hoteliers have enough tax breaks, and we are wasting way too much of our country's coming revenue. I'd like to close again by mentioning that this tax break would not benefit anybody in our country except these hoteliers, and they will be sending this money right back to their home countries overseas, reducing our economy and overall destroying our country in the long run. I thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hamilton. That was a rebuttal for York Castle High. We now proceed to the rebuttal for Wolmers High School for girls in the person of Aliyah Thompson. Ms. Thompson? We're ready for you. Please proceed. Let me hear you first. Can you say something, please? I want to hear something.
Are you hearing me? May I begin?
You may begin.
I'm not certain my second speaker and I needed to attend this discourse, as my first speaker had already repudiated all the opposition claims presented. The first speaker's claim was weak, bad opposition. The hoteliers need more breaks. My competent first speaker had already stated that despite the previous hotel incentives, our hoteliers are practically on their deathbeds. Did you not hear the outcry of our small hoteliers regardless of the breaks already imposed? The opposition further argues that the energy tax rates would crash the economy, as if the billion-dollar loan that we would incur to implement the renewable energy sources would not do the same. Not to mention the high interest rates that our already indebted country would accumulate. Not to mention the opposition's comprehension skills are wavering, which I picked up on when their first speaker failed to define the key terms. They are also misinterpreted. They were also misinterpreted by the second speaker. She was not saying that the tax breaks to our properly registered hoteliers would crash the economy. He was saying that if everyone in the sector received the tax break, the sector would crash. The matter here is not whether or not a tax break is necessary. Our highly skilled and qualified economists have already proven that they are. It's a matter of whether or not the most suitable tax break is the energy break. And as my first speaker has outlined, the energy tax break is the most efficient. My question to the opposition is that where would the money come from to implement all these other breaks that they speak of? I thank you.
Thank you again, Ms. Aaliyah Thompson from Wolmers High School for Girls. We've now heard all three speakers proposing and opposing, and we've heard both rebuttals from both each school. It is now for us to allow our esteemed adjudicators to consider the arguments presented by each of our competitors today and to deliberate and to choose a winner. It has been an exciting exchange so far, and we will now take a break to allow our judges to do so. Although they will not be presenting the results today, because we do not have our full quorum of judges present with us, unavoidably so today. We will still be taking a little break to do some deliberations and announce what we'll be doing next in a few minutes. So far we've heard from Wolmers High School for Girls, and representing Wolmers today have been Rihanna McDuffus, Janoy Samuels, and Aaliyah Thompson. They proposed the moot that this House would implement a tax break on energy bills only for hoteliers who are properly registered and operating within the tourism sector. Opposing from York Castle High were Christian Hamilton and Akelia Dixon. And now we look forward to the result, which will be a bit delayed because that will not be presented today. At this time, too, we'd like to take the opportunity to thank our sponsors for their contributions: the Tourism Enhancement Fund, Deja All-Inclusive Resort, the Jamaica Hotel and Tourism Association, the JHTA, Royalton Luxury Resort, Chaka Caribbean, Pier 1 Bar and Restaurant, Coral Cliff Gaming and Entertainment, Margaritaville Caribbean Group, Origin Juices, and Starbucks Jamaica. Reminding you that the 2022 National Tourism Debate is endorsed by the Montego Bay Chamber of Commerce and Industry and the JHTA, and that our adjudicators for this particular match are Mr. Dominic Shaw, Director of the Montego Bay Chamber of Commerce and Industry, Mr. Mika Bryce, Attorney at Law, and Ms. Nadine Spence, Region Chapter Chairperson for the JHTA. I think it's time for us to take a little break, and then we'll wrap up. Jaden?
we learn the true meaning of being a hero. Being a hero requires great sacrifice for others. For others, not just ourselves. We learn about the heroes of Jamaica's past and how much of them
Welcome back. This is match number 3 for the 20.
No, we're not quite ready, Brian. The judges will cue you when they are.
Okay. All right.
As children, we learn the true meaning of being a hero. Being a hero requires great sacrifice for others. For others, not just ourselves. We learn about the heroes of Jamaica's past and how much of themselves and their lives they had to give in building a nation we should be proud to call home. They believed in a Jamaica that was more than just a country, more than just an island, more than land surrounded by water. They believed in a dream of a free nation of people, a nation built on the foundation of their sacrifices, a nation of many people working as one, a nation that would continue to produce legends and nation builders that serve towards that vision. As children, we were also taught the national pledge, a solemn promise, an undertaking. I would like to believe Sir Hugh Sherlock, while writing this pledge, understood the vision and dreams of our heroes. It's clear being a hero is too much to ever ask any one citizen. Luckily, the pledge does not require heroics of any of us. It merely asks that we honor our heroes by striving to advance our nation and ultimately inspire the world. Like they and many Jamaicans important we remember those words. These words. Before God and all mankind, I pledge the love and loyalty of my heart through wisdom. As children, we learn the true meaning of being a hero. Being a hero requires great sacrifice for others. For others, not just ourselves. We learn about the heroes of Jamaica's past and how much of themselves and their lives they had to give in building a nation we should be proud to call home. They believed in a Jamaica that was more than just a country, more than just an island, more than land surrounded by water. They believed in a dream of a free nation of people, a nation built on the foundation of their sacrifices, a nation of many people working as one, a nation that would continue to produce legends and nation builders that serve towards that vision. As children, we were also taught the national pledge, a solemn promise, an undertaking. I would like to believe Sir Hugh Sherlock, while writing this pledge, understood the vision and dreams of our heroes. It's clear being a hero is too much to ever ask any one citizen. Luckily, the pledge does not require heroics of any of us. It merely asks that we honor our heroes by striving to advance our nation and ultimately inspire the world, like they and many Jamaicans have done. It's important we remember those words. These words. Before God and all mankind, I pledge the love and loyalty of my heart, the wisdom and courage of my mind, the strength and vigor of my body in service of my fellow citizens. I promise to stand up for justice, brotherhood, and peace, to work diligently and creatively, to think generously and honestly, so that Jamaica may, under God, increase in beauty, fellowship, and prosperity, and play her part in advancing the welfare of the whole human race. If you are like me, a Jamaican born and raised on this land, maybe you will remember saying those words, singing that song in a classroom or some general assembly. If so, like me, you made a pledge. Somehow it seems like many of us have forgotten that. The crime and violence, the indiscipline and short-sightedness, the corruption, the lack of respect for a beautiful land we are blessed with, and the waters that surround and nurtures us.
Okay, we're ready to return.
We have to do better. Let us honor our heroes so that they would not have sacrificed so much in vain.
Thank you. Brian, in a few, are our judges back in our room?
Yes, they are, Miss.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead, Brian.
Well, thank you. Welcome back, everyone. We're now ready to hear the feedback from our judges. The judges will be hearing from our Mr. Dominic Shaw, Director of the Montego Bay Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and Ms. Nadine Spence, Region Chapter Chair, person of the GHDA.
Thank you so much, Brian.
First of all, I just want to commend the team on the sound arguments that they delivered. I was quite impressed. That they were able to draw on leaders who operated within the space and to be able to quote some of, what was said as it relates to the topic of the day. I will, however, though, remind our debaters that it's important to use as many sources as possible. One team would have gone deeper into their research and their quotes, while the other stuck, primarily to newspaper resources. So it's always good to try and get deeper into the government research and provision of stats and data, etc. I find that too often that the teams, and I would say, York Castle, you need to watch the way you present in terms of not reading too much, but in engaging the arguments. Both speakers were great at their content. I find that the mood, the explanation, the definition could have been given a little bit more by the opposing team. I like that the opposing team was able to take certain aspects of the argument from the second speaker and segued into a solid argument. I like that. The demolition of the arguments by both persons who did the rebuttal, I would have wanted more to it, more meat to it. I find that the ending was abrupt. I know that there's a time constraint, but I would have wanted some more meat to that. I'm not sure. I find that York Castle was, giving the rebuttal quite strongly and then ended abruptly. I don't know if there was a loss of train of thoughts or what that was. And Alea went into her rebuttal, the same strong arguments, again ended abruptly. We want to see more engagement, more eye contact with the audience from both teams. I think that the Wolmers team had a little bit of edge in terms of contact with the audience, but we'd love to see more, especially if you should make it to the finals or into the next round, that when you go live, that you would engage the audience a little bit more. The voices were clear. I like that. Both teams, we could hear you, we could hear your stance, we could see your gestures, and we identified your style. So despite the internet challenges, we still were able to hear your delivery and what you were saying. But that's basically it from me. I think that both teams did great at delivering. There are some areas that they really need to work on, but the chief judge will look at our deliberations and will be able to then say who the winner is today. But great job, both teams. Excellent feedback. Thank you, Mrs. Spence. And is Mr. Shaw was that for both you and Mr. Shaw, or was that just you, your feedback?
It was for both.
Both. All right. Well, I want to thank both the adjudicators and our moderator, Mr. Brian Brown. And we will come back after this break with our Chief Judge, Tamika Bryce. I'm happy with the two judges that we have here this afternoon. They're both within the sector, and I know they can appreciate the arguments. So we will